That is a very hard line indeed. And James Carafano, Heritage Foundation, is with us now. Do you approve? I mean, look, it seems to me that the president, with that speech yesterday, has put immigration front and center right in front of the election. And he's taken an extremely strong stand. Is that the right move?
Well, yeah, this is a case study in the difference between Trumpian rhetoric and Trumpian policy. So you're absolutely right about the Trumpian rhetoric. I mean, he's putting three things on the table. One is he's sending a clear message, America, I'm going to defend you. I'm going to protect our borders. Two, he's actually sending a message to the Caravan people, right? He's trying to deter them from even coming here to begin with by saying this will do you no good. And third, he's putting a stick in the eye and really trying to anger and inflame his political critics. That's typical Trump. We have to separate that from what the actual policies will be that will be implemented on the border. And those, I think, are actually really more or less kind of standard practice.
Standard practice? Well, look, he said no. Nobody comes across. And if one person does come across, we're going to build giant tent cities to put them up. Is that standard practice?
Well, we have plans on the books. I mean, we plan for migrant crises all the time. One of the reasons why we created Northern Command, which is the command that is over the United States, is their job is, hey, if a bunch of people show up at the border, what do we do with them, particularly if we actually have to receive them into the country? So we have practices to hold them together so then we can then properly process them. So, yeah, I mean, we plan for this.
Are we doing the right thing?
I think so. I mean, if you ask me, the way we're actually planning on using the military at the border, which is completely separate from what the president's rhetoric says, that to me seems very standard from how it was used under Obama and Bush on their emergency deployments to the border. Also, the kinds of things that the military talks about in their briefings of having them do sound very, very much like the kinds of things that we do in our normal operational planning. Now, if you're asking me, is it the right number? I can't tell that without looking at the plan. Like, are they sending too many just to send a big statement? I don't know. But the kinds of things they're doing sound about right. The rhetoric about, what happens if people start throwing rocks. Look, if there's an Army planner who is building a plan for the Army where there's a potential that the Army guys are standing there with bayonets facing a wall of people throwing rocks, then that Army planner is an idiot and ought to be fired. So the kind of scenario the president talked about, I don't think that's likely to happen.
Real fast, if in the long term we get merit-based immigration, end chain migration, and end birthright citizenship, do you think that's the right way to go?
Absolutely. We fixed the system, and what will happen was, one, we'll stop growing the pool of unlawfully immigrants, and we'll actually see it begin to contract. There will be people that will self-deploy. They will go home and try to come back here legally because they see the advantages to that. And we'll see the population shrink from something like 11, 12, 13 million to something that's maybe just a few million, something that Americans would be so small, Americans wouldn't even notice anymore.
James Carafano?
We could have done this 10 years ago.
Yes, we could indeed. We could. James Carafano, thanks for joining us. See you soon, sir.